Alright, let's take a look at the fetal pig. We're going to do the arteries first. So on the heart, this very large white area is the pulmonary trunk. Now behind the pulmonary trunk we have the aorta, and that will give rise to two arteries. The first one, kind of towards the middle of the body, is the brachiocephalic trunk or artery, and the one more towards the left side of the pig is called the left subclavian. Alright, now coming off the brachiocephalic trunk, we have the right subclavian, but we can't see it. It's not underlined in your notes. And then we have the right axillary. So what you want to know is that when the artery passes the ribs, or even the vein, it's called axillary. Okay? Now, also coming off the brachiocephalic trunk or artery, we have the left and right common carotid arteries. They appear kind of blue and pink, but they are an artery, and they're supposed to appear pink. They have oxygenated blood in them. Okay? Alright, let's look at the bottom part. I'm going to look for the dorsal aorta. It kind of appears greenish, but there's the dorsal aorta right here. Now, in your notes, coming off the dorsal aorta is something called the celiac trunk. All you want to know is name an artery coming off of that and the organ it's sending some blood to. Now, an artery that I could point out in the pig is something called the anterior mesenteric artery. It's really thick, and it even says thick in your notes. And that will be taking blood to the small intestines and large intestines. Okay? Now, looking for, you should know that this is the kidney. So then the artery taking oxygenated blood to it is called the renal artery. Okay? Now, we can't see the inferior mesenteric. That's something else you want to know, that the inferior mesenteric is actually taking some blood to the large intestines and rectum. Alright? Now, going back to the aorta, called the dorsal aorta, let's take a look into the pelvis. You're going to be looking for a nice, pretty pink artery. That's called the external iliac. Okay? Now, it's really important that you understand that there's no common iliac arteries. Alright, so we'll come and form the external iliac artery. Alright, the femoral we didn't really point out, so don't worry about that. Now, the umbilical artery you definitely want to know. That's just, those two arteries are going to surround the bladder. I'll put my probe underneath it. Okay, and you want to know, it's pink, but you want to know that's oxygen poor blood, because it's carrying oxygen poor blood away from the fetus to the mom to get some oxygenated blood. So those are the arteries. So let's go over the veins. We're going to go to the top of the heart. I'm going to move up here. So first we have an anterior vena cava right here. Alright, that will eventually drain into the right atrium. We're going to form the letter V next, called the brachiocephalic veins. So it's really important that you understand there's two brachiocephalic veins, but only one brachiocephalic artery. Okay? Now, branching off of that brachiocephalic veins is the internal jugular. Alright, it's really important you know that's parallel to the common carotid artery. So we have the internal jugular vein, and if you go a little bit more outward, we have the external jugular vein. Okay? Now, we're not looking for it, but there is a subclavian vein, but once you pass the ribs, you are called the axillary veins. Okay? Let's take a look at the veins below the diaphragm. And you can actually see, so we have anterior vena cava above the heart, so we have a posterior vena cava below the heart, so let's follow that down into the abdomen. Okay, we're definitely see blue here. So there's your posterior vena cava. Let me put my probe underneath it. So there's posterior vena cava. Alright, the only two veins we're looking for here is not only the posterior vena cava, but the renal vein, the nice big blue vein, draining the kidney. And then the umbilical vein, which we actually cut when we opened the pig up. And there's a piece of it. What you want to understand is that the umbilical vein is carrying oxygen-rich blood. Alright, so vein means you're going to the heart, while you're going to the fetus with oxygen-rich blood from the mom.
So it's under the gallbladder, but not part of the gallbladder?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, I'm not looking for any veins in the pelvis, and you can look for those on the picture, but I'm not going to test you on the actual pig. Alright, let's take a look at the heart a little bit closer. Alright, we have some auricles. We have right and left auricles that lead into the atria. We have the right and left ventricles. And we can see the pink coronary artery. Alright, so if that's blocked, you can have a heart attack. And what you want to know about the coronary artery is it's going to send oxygen-rich blood to the cardiac muscle of the heart. Okay. The blue is the great cardiac vein that drains oxygen-poor blood from the cardiac muscle and sends it back into the right atrium. Alright, and we've already identified this, but this is at the bottom of page 3 of your notes. Alright, we have pulmonary trunk. Okay, and that is the veins and arteries of the pig.